Okay. Good morning, class. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
Good
morning,
ma'am.
morning,
ma'am.
Our
ma'am.
class is too early for today, but I'm glad that I have many attendees for today. Good morning, guys. Today is November 21, 2021, and as of 9:39 a.m., I have 7 attendees for today. Okay, so I hope you are all doing fine. Are you doing fine, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, before we formally start, let me first ask you if my presentation is already visible.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. It's
Yes,
ma'am.
already
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
visible.
good.
ma'am.
Is my audio clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. Very
ma'am.
clear.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so let us get to know our agenda for today. Our objectives is in the progress of this lesson, you guys are expected to first define biases from prejudices, second, determine whether a scenario is an example of bias or a prejudice, and third, compile an issue or scenario wherein biases and prejudices are commonly seen in the society. Okay, so let's have a warm up first. All you have to do here is to read each scenario carefully and tell me whether each scenario is under bias or prejudice. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Take note that there is no wrong answer this time because I only want to assess, guys, if you have prior knowledge about our lesson for today. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes, Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
Okay. Number one, who would like to read and answer? Uh huh. Yes, Viv.
Anthony is the barangay captain of Maligaya. During the giving of financial assistance in their barangay, he gave a larger amount of money to his relatives. Ma'am, I think the answer is bias.
Bias. Let's see. Uh-huh, correct. Bias. Very good, Viv. Who would like to try number two? Mm-hmm. Wait. Yes, James.
Marjorie saw a boy holding a bouquet of flowers, then give it to another guy. Marjorie concluded that the two boys are gay. Ma'am, I think the answer is prejudice.
Prejudice. Let's see. Okay, the answer is prejudice. Number three. Later we will get to know why these scenarios are under bias or under prejudice, okay? But for now, okay. Yes, Anthony. Number three.
The referee received a lot of money from the losing team, so he always made sure that the other team would receive more violation. I think the answer is bias, ma'am.
Bias. Okay, let's see. Great. Bias. Very good. Last two. Number four. Yes, Pat. And the last item will be for Bernadette, okay?
Okay, number 4, a group of Bajau ride a jeepney, and all the passengers in the jeepney look at them with the judgment in their eyes as if they are a thief. The
Okay.
answer is prejudice.
Prejudice. Let's see. Very good. Prejudice. Number five for Badette.
The attorney in the trial court is the father of the suspect, so he did everything to win the case although he knows that it is against the law. It's bias po.
Bias. Let's see. Oh, very good. So 5/5. It means that you have prior knowledge. I don't know if you just guessed it or you really have prior knowledge. But for today, we will go to it deeper, okay? We will broaden our your knowledge about this topic. Okay, so let's now proceed to reading this text. In particular, this is life story of Chloe. And as usual, guys, whenever I ask you to read something, we will do the stop and continue method, wherein I am going to call a student to start reading. And when I say stop, he or she is going to call another classmate to to continue reading. Okay? That way I can test if you are really focused and if you are really listening to our topic. And take note that you have to listen very carefully because our lesson will revolve around the scenarios here in the text. Is that clear, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I would like to call Anthony to start reading. Yes, Anthony. And later you're gonna call another classmate to continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Chloe is a Muslim. Her mother and her father are both Muslims. They went to Manila to continue their studies in high school. Her parents were both unemployed at that time, and they are both looking for a job. Chloe's father is a 40 years old, but because of his age, many companies declined him.
Stop.
Be-
Call
Um,
another.
I will call Genevieve.
Okay, Viv, continue.
Because of Chloe's father's age, he couldn't find a job. So whenever Chloe wanted to buy supplies she needed for schooling, when someone offered a price that she thought was expensive, she would choose the other store that offered a cheaper price. Chloe's classmates in Mindanao live a simple life. Unlike in Manila, where most of her classmates are easygoing and loud, she felt unfamiliar. She found it hard to go along with her classmates, so she's trying to change herself to make friends with everyone.
Stop.
However,
Stop.
um, okay, ma'am, I
Call
would
another
like
one.
I would like to call Bernadette.
Okay, Badet, proceed.
However, it is undeniable that her sense of fashion and looks are not that attractive because they use hijab. Hence, most of her classmates never noticed her. Most of the time, she wishes she could go back to Mindanao and socialize with her former classmates.
Stop.
Um, James, ma'am.
Okay, James, proceed.
Uh, she feel belong and comfortable when sharing anything without experiencing judgment. In her school, Chloe's classmates ignore her. They even call her names like pirated DVD or terrorista because they thought those are the things Muslims do for a living. Chloe is an outcast in her classroom. They believe that she's not that nice because she doesn't talk a lot.
Okay,
A week before Chloe transferred to her new school, news about the bombing in Marawi popped up. One of the reasons why her classmates see her as someone terrible and not worth trusting.
stop.
I'm gonna call Pat.
Okay, Pat, proceed.
They even tease her and ask questions like, "Kumusta naman ang malasiyo din na buhay sa Mindanao?" At night, Chloe often sees herself crying and asking what she did in the past to deserve that kind of treatment from her classmates. Chloe is also very open with her sexuality. She admits to her class that her sexual orientation is pansexual, which means her sexuality is not limited to sexual choice concerning biological sex, gender, or gender identity. She believes that she can love anyone regardless of their biological gender, sexual identity, or orientation, as long as the person is up to her standards. And
Stop.
because of that, okay, ma'am, I will
Okay.
choose Anthony.
Okay, Anthony.
And because of that, her female classmates do not want to mingle with her. They misunderstood Chloe's sexuality and called her tomboy, just because there is a possibility that Chloe will like someone of the same sex.
Okay. Last two.
In
Continue,
school,
Anthony.
in school, many classmates are not familiar that Muslims are not allowed to eat pork because they believe in their religion.
Stop.
When her uh, Bernadette, ma'am.
Okay, Badet.
When her classmate offered her food with pork, she kindly refused it, but her classmate found it weird and mocked her because of her religion and beliefs. Since her father doesn't have a job, She was always left behind in the class because she can't afford to buy things for their group activity. Despite the unfair treatment Chloe receives, she still does the best she can to finish her study.
Stop. Okay, last. Call another one. Badet.
Pat, ma'am.
Okay, Pat. And this.
Even if some of her classmates were trying to mock her, she would not be successful because she's a girl and has no money. She uses these words as her motivation to keep going and to keep striving hard.
Very good. Oh, obviously, um, I can sense that you have listened very carefully and you were very focused since our activity, since it showed in our um, method in reading, right? Okay, so let's have these guide questions. First, okay, later. Wait, sorry. Okay. Um, I have here a question since I told you to listen very carefully and be focused, right? Because many scenarios in Chloe's life story as a student is our lesson will revolve around it. Okay, so I have here a question. What kinds of discrimination have you seen in the scenario? Can you give me? Anyone? Yes? Mark? Badet? Yes, Mark, first.
Ma'am, it's sexual orientation.
Sexual orientation. Another?
Um, Religious orientation, ma'am.
Religious orientation. Very good. And yes, Anthony and Pat
Um,
later.
age discrimination, ma'am.
Age discrimination. Yes. Yes, Pat.
Racial discrimination.
Racial discrimination. Okay. Are there any other? Okay. That's all. So let's see. Oh, okay. Religious. Okay. Discrimination. Okay. I have told you again a while ago to listen carefully with the story of Chloe, right? Because there are many scenarios there that shows our lesson for today, which is biases from and prejudices. And our lesson for today is about differentiating these two with each other, which is bias from prejudice. We all know that the first step to differentiate two ideas is to first, of course, know them well individually, right? Because how can we compare two things if we aren't familiar with them in the first place? Do you agree with me, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Of
ma'am.
course,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
let's proceed to knowing what bias is. Okay, number one. Bias is an inclination for or against a person, idea, or thing, especially in a way considered to be unfair. Okay. A while ago in our warm up, you have um answered correctly the scenarios under bias. And most of those examples are being in favor of, right? Those scenarios are being in favor of a person or a family or something. But we have to take note that being biased can come in two ways. It's not only being in favor of. Bias can be in favor of or against a person, idea, or thing. Okay? Take note of that. Do you get me? Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so in any way of these two, bias is always considered to be unfair, with whether it is in favor of or against something. It is always unfair. So whenever you hear the word bias, um, it will always mean unfair. Okay, am I making
Yes,
sense?
ma'am.
Yes,
Okay, very
ma'am.
good. Another someone who is biased usually refuses to accept that there are other views than their own. If you were biased, for example, let's go back to our example in our warm up a while ago. Um, the referee was being paid by the losing team. Um, Even though in the actual game there is a particular winning team, but that losing team is paid him the referee still um let the losing team win. Are you getting my point, guys? Or am I too fast?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Okay. So apparently there are numerous types of
It's
bias,
clear,
but
ma'am.
okay, but thank you for that. There are numerous types of bias, but I only included here the most common types, which are, who would like to read the common types of bias I included here? Okay. Yes? Viv?
Common types of bias: anchoring bias, conformity bias, beauty bias, affinity bias, halo effect bias, horn effect bias, confirmation bias.
Okay. So one, two, three, four, five, six. I listed here only seven, but take note that in our society there are many types of bias, but I have here only seven, okay? Which includes okay, let us get to know them one by one. First is anchoring bias. Anchoring bias occurs when people rely too much on pre existing information or the first information they find when making decisions. It is associated with psychology, guys, and it is prominent um, to finance or business. I have read an article about it, and anchoring bias is about, for example, you were going to buy a new house or a new car, and the first store that you went to, um the price of the car there um is quite pricey, so you went to another store, and the price of the car there is higher than the price on the second stall. So you have in mind that because of the first information that you got, which is lower than the second one, you think that the first car that you went in is cheap. Are you getting? Are you getting it? You are basing on the first information that you get. Okay, I have your example based on our text that we have read. Okay, whenever who wants to read this? Okay, yes.
Whenever Chloe wanted to buy supplies she needed for schooling, when someone offered a price that she thought was expensive, she would choose the other store that offered a cheaper
Okay,
price.
so to enlighten you about my explanation here in anchoring bias, so here's the example from the text a while ago. So whenever Chloe wanted to buy supplies she needed for schooling, when someone offered a price that she thought was expensive, she would choose the other store that offered a cheaper price. For example, in the first store, for example, there's a requirement for them to buy, for instance, let's say a cardboard for their activity, or coloring materials. In the first stall that she went, the price there is, let's say, 200 pesos. And so she find it so pricey, right? For her, it was pricey for her. So she is going to go to another store, and the price there of the coloring material is 250. So what do you think will happen? Will Chloe do? Will she buy the 250 pesos, or she will go back to the first stall? What do you think? Yes?
Ma'am, she will go back to the first stall because she thinks
Yes.
that because it's cheaper.
Yes. And um the okay. So the first stall, that first item is called the anchor. It is the um first information that you get, that she was being biased because um she was basing on the price, not on the quality, right? Are you getting it? Do you
Yes,
want any
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
clarification? Okay.
Yes,
Shall
ma'am.
shall we move on to another, or do you have any clarification?
None
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 so
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 far
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 Very
po.
good.
from
So that is anchoring bias. You are relying too much on the first information. That particular first information is your basis of 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 judging another choices. Okay? Is that clear? Or am I
Yes,
too
ma'am.
fast? Okay, good.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
number
ma'am, all
two is
clear.
who would like to read conformity bias? Yes? Badet?
Conformity bias is the tendency people have to behave like those around them rather than using their own personal judgment.
Okay. So in conformity bias, um to make it short, or in an easier explanation, this bias is when you are trying to fit in a group. For example, um you were not really like them, but you want to be like them, even though um you're not really like them. You're getting it. So you're trying to fit in because you don't want to be an outcast. So you are trying your very best to um to fit in. That's the word, fit in. Okay, so I have your example. Chloe's classmates in Mindanao live a simple life. Unlike in Manila, where most of her classmates are easygoing and loud, she felt unfamiliar. She found it hard to go along with her classmates, so she's trying to change herself to make friends with everyone. As we all know, Muslims and the people in Mindanao and the people here in Luzon are very different, right? With their lifestyle and such. So it is very hard for Chloe to adjust, since the two culture and lifestyle are very different. But she's trying her very best to fit in, so that she is going to make friends with everyone. So that is called the conformity bias, trying to fit in. Are you getting it?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay.
ma'am.
Can you cite me another example? Can you think of other examples when it comes to conformity bias? When you were trying to fit in? Yes, Anthony?
Um, yes, ma'am. For example, right now, ma'am, in our um, since it is election time in our country,
Yes.
ma'am, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Very
people have,
timely.
yes, ma'am, a lot of people have their own idea, have their own discussion about
Yeah, yes, yes.
election. Then for you, ma'am, for you to fit in that, some people trying to fit in that in that circumstances, like right now, a lot of people who are supporting Lenny Robredo. So
Okay.
for people who trying to fit in that situation, they are supporting Robredo
Okay.
without having any
Yes.
reason, because they believe that a lot of people have
Very okay.
discussion about that thing. Yes,
Isn't
ma'am.
it would you agree if I will tell you that this type of bias, the conformity bias, is the same with bandwagon? Would
Um,
you agree?
yes, ma'am.
A little,
Actually,
right?
a little, ma'am. Actually, it is this bias can also a positive also, but
Okay,
also
yes.
as well as negative, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So your example, oh, very good, Anthony. Thank you for your response. Um, that is very timely in an election. For example, let's say um, in your school is in your school, most of, especially when you're in the university, let's say, so most of them are supporting who? The pink one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So um you, for you to fit in, even though you do not have enough knowledge about it, for you to fit in, to for you to relate to it, you are going to search on the internet and all, so that you can um
Get along.
Yes, get along. Very good. Thank you for that. Okay. Any other example for conformity bias? Any question, clarification?
None so far, ma'am.
Okay, do you
None
get
so
it?
far
Okay,
po.
good, good. Next. For beauty bias, who would like to read? Beauty bias? Viv, would you like to read?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Beauty bias concerns with the favorable treatment that individuals receive when they are deemed more attractive because we perceive them as more successful, sociable, and acceptable than other
Okay,
individuals.
beauty bias. This is very common. I bet when I ask you for examples, you can give me many examples, right? Because this beauty bias is very common in our society. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And
Um,
these beauty bias is rooted from the standard that the society has set when it comes to beauty, right? The society has set that you are beautiful if you have white skin, if you have pointed nose, if you are tall, right? And when it comes to men, you are handsome if you are tall, dark, and handsome, right? Do you agree with that? So this beauty
Yes,
bias,
ma'am.
yes, this beauty bias is very prominent to our society even before and until now, right? Okay, so but okay, again, let's go back to the meaning of bias a while ago. This comes in two ways, being in favor of or against, right? So I have your example from our text a while ago. It is undeniable that Chloe's sense of fashion and looks are not that attractive because they use hijab. Hence, most of her classmates never noticed her. So do you think this is in favor of or against Chloe?
Against.
Okay, this is against Chloe, right? So, as I have said a while ago, the society has set standards, and um, if you are different, you are not beautiful, right? That's our society. Okay, can you give me some examples? Yes, who's that? Wait a minute. Yes, Viv.
Ma'am, like in Korea, if you have colored skin
Yeah.
and you don't have double eyelids and your body is not as thin
Yes.
as the artist or K-pop idols, you are considered unattractive to them.
Yes, but funny how they set that standard, but so that leads the a particular person to have surgery, right? But then when that person is, let's say, an artist is became beautiful because he had those surgery, but then when people mock them because of their past face, because of their what do you call this, of their looks when they aren't um having the surgery yet. What is your stand about that? Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Even in the Philippines, like if
Yes.
people are very judgmental
Yes.
when someone have done surgery with their
Yes.
faces or their bodies because they think it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
They think that you're pretending to be only to be beautiful.
Yes, but the thing is, that person won't do that if the society hasn't set a standard, right? So that's our society. How sad. And also, this beauty bias can be also associated with the past bias we discussed, which is the conformity, trying to fit in, trying to be beautiful. For example, in showbiz, we all know that the word artistahin, right?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, people are trying their best to be beautiful, but then being mocked when yes, Who's that?
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
sorry. Yes.
Not only in showbiz, ma'am, but also in a very ordinary event like in school, ma'am, or
Yes.
in offices. If that person is beautiful, a lot of
Yeah.
sometimes teacher and even students favor
Yes.
that
Yes.
person because she is
Okay.
beautiful.
Because
They think that
look at the
she's
okay,
perfect.
sorry, sorry. Yes, because look at the meaning. Because we perceive them as more successful, sociable, and acceptable than any other individuals, right? So this beauty bias is very I have another example. One of the requirements of in work when you are applying is to for you to have a pleasing personality, right?
Yes, ma'am. Just like in
But
ano, being a flight attendant, ma'am.
yes. Um okay, so um it's very sad that us people look on us people judge someone because of their um what do you call appearance. Okay, so any other insights with beauty bias? If none, let us move on. Shall we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next. Who would like to read the meaning of affinity bias? Yes, Mark?
Affinity bias. Affinity bias is the unconscious tendency to get along with others who are like us.
Okay. It is somehow related to again conformity bias trying to fit in, right? Okay, example. Most of the time, Chloe wishes that she could go back to Mindanao and socialize with her former classmates. She feels belonged and comfortable when sharing anything without experiencing judgment. Okay, example here is um um do you know the are you familiar with the cliche saying birds of the same feather flocks together,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
and the tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are, right? Because of course we want to be together with those people who we can relate with, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for example, James, for example, let me ask you, James. Um, your let's say your best friend is Anthony. You are best friends because you share same thoughts. You were the same with being funny, being jolly, and all. And you're not you're not that um uh, you're not that sunog kila. You're not like that, but you study well, but you're not that very focused on studies. So you relate to each other. If you would choose, and the other, let's say Viv is very very studious and all. Sunod-kilay, let's use the term sunod-kilay. And you are going, your teacher asked you to look for your partner in a grouping. Who would you choose between them? Your best friend, who you can relate with, or the other person who's your opposite from, James?
Anthony, ma'am, my best
Yes,
friend.
of course, because again, you share, we tend to get along with others who are like
Yes,
us,
ma'am.
right? Yes, do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is affinity bias. Next, halo effect. Halo effect is the positive impression of somebody that leads us to overlook their negative characteristics or treat them more favorable than others. Okay, heavier example. A sharply dressed coworker might be judged to be more competent than a coworker wearing a t-shirt. So, again, this is associated also with judging the appearance of someone. But that's not the only example. Okay, this is just particular scenario wherein a sharply dressed coworker can be judged as um beautiful, even though because halo effect from the word halo, it is associated to the word being good, right? Or positive in impression. Are you getting it? Or am I too fast? Guys, tell me if am I too fast.
No, ma'am, it's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So that is halo effect. You were only looking on the positive sides of that person, and those negative sides of him or her are being overlooked, just like this example. Okay, that is halo effect. On the other hand, when we say horn effect, this is negative impression. Halo effect, positive impression are being overlooked. Again, sorry. In halo effect, the negative impression are being overlooked because you are looking on the positive impression to that particular person. On the other hand, when we say horn effect, this is in contrast to halo effect. This is the negative impression that we are more likely to concentrate that leads us to treat them badly. Okay. Have your example. For example, this is a very good example. Can you read it, Badet?
You meet your new supervisor who's bald and
Okay.
immediately remember a bald middle school teacher who bullied and
Okay.
mocked you. Angry and afraid all over again, you distrust your boss immediately. Your bias led you to judge him by one trait, baldness, with your brain connected to that negative past
Okay.
experience.
So, in one word, how can you would you agree if I will associate this horn effect with trauma like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, your past experience is being influenced. So whenever you see a bald professor, you tend to think that you can be bullied or mocked again. So that is horn effect. Okay? Can you see the difference between halo and horn?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So we move on. Clarifications?
None, ma'am.
Okay.
None,
None,
ma'am.
None
ma'am.
So
so far po.
okay, very good. Thank you for that. So the last one is the confirmation bias. It is the tendency to look for information that supports rather than rejects one's preconceptions, typically by interpreting evidence to confirm existing beliefs while rejecting or ignoring any conflicting data. Okay. Again, this is I got this example from the text we have read a while ago. Chloe's classmates call her names like pirated DVD or terrorista because they thought those are the things Muslims do for a living. Um, her Chloe's classmates kept in mind that whenever they see a Muslim, they are all terrorists. They all sell pirated DVD and all. They even call her um what's that again in the story? They even ask her, "Kamusta naman ang mala COD na buhay sa Mindanao?" So they confirm without confirmation. Do you get that? They confirm without confirmation. They keep in mind, their mindset is that whenever they see a Muslim, that is a terrorist. Those Muslims, they sell pirated DVD in the market. Okay? So they tend to judge a particular person based on um based on the information they believe. They are being okay, sorry, they generalize persons. Okay? Am I making sense, guys? Are
Yes,
you there
ma'am.
Yes,
still?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Get it? Confirmation bias. You are um you have a preconception and you believe with that preconception becomes your mindset, and um co- um whatever conflicting data comes, you don't believe it because that mindset has set in your mind. Okay, you're getting it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Okay, good. So that is for bias. Okay, any question with bias before we move on to prejudice?
None,
None,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, good.
None, ma'am.
Okay, let's. Okay, bias. Who would like to read prejudice? Yes. Who's that? Pat.
What is prejudice? Prejudice is an opinion against a group or individual that is based on insufficient facts that is usually unfavorable and intolerant.
Okay, next. Okay, Hannah. It is an irrational attitude of hostility directed against an individual, a group, a race, or their supposed characteristics. Okay. Um, when we say prejudice, this is just think of judgment, being judgmental, but in a negative, it has a negative connotation. When we say prejudice, you judge without insufficient facts, without enough information. Um, it is usually unfavorable and intolerant. Okay, so let us there are numerous types of prejudice, but I only included here the most common ones in our society, which are racial, sexism, sexual, ageism, and religious prejudice. Okay, let us get to know them one by one. Who would like to read racial prejudice? Yes, who's that? Viv?
Racial prejudice is frequently used to justify keeping a group in a subordinate position, such as a lower
Okay.
social class.
Okay. I have an example. Chloe's classmates see her as someone terrible and not worth trusting because she is a Muslim. Racial prejudice, in other words, this is racism, right? Racism.
Yes, ma'am.
You um when you have a mindset that there is a superior and an inferior nationality or race. But in fact, should we have the superiority or inferiority? What do you think? Okay. Okay, as in our example here, Chloe's classmates see her as someone terrible and not worth trusting because she is a Muslim. Another example of racism is the most common ones, the Black Lives Matter, right? The whites versus the blacks.
And
Do
also
you agree?
Asian, ma'am.
Yes, very good. Again, Anthony, what's that? Asian?
And also Asian, ma'am.
Asian
About,
hate.
yes,
Yes,
it
very
is
good.
very commonly right now when a lot of Americans treated Asians
Yeah.
badly.
Yeah. Um, have you watched in the news that Filipino actor who is in the movie Squid Game?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and what happened to him? He was on a train, am I right with that?
I think he wasn't the best, ma'am.
Okay, and then an old lady, according to him, throw him a cabbage. Is that cabbage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Cabbage.
so that is an example of racism, right? And again, this racial prejudice is um rooted from the standards that our society has set, right? Because we believe that we have we look on white people as higher than us, Asian or blacks, right? So yeah, again, this is so saddening. And do you have any other example? Racial prejudice? Okay. But do you have any clarification before I move on? That's very
None,
prominent
ma'am.
to us, so I know that you know it very well, right? So the most common are the Black Lives Matter, the whites versus black, and the Asian hate type of racial prejudice. Okay, next is sexism prejudice. Okay. It is an ideology based on the belief that one sex is superior to another. In particular, that superior one is, do you think, men or women?
Men.
Yes, our society again, our society has set a standard that that men are superior than women. That um um the things that men can do, a woman cannot do, right? Okay, so it is a discrimination, prejudice, or yes, who's that? Would you like to say
Yes,
something?
and also,
Yes?
and back then, ma'am, women can't allowed to join in any
Yeah.
elections because
Yes.
a lot of people, particularly men, they
Yeah.
believe that women can't lead, ma'am. That is
Yes.
why.
But
Yes,
I think it's more saddening before than now, because
yes,
now
ma'am.
hashtag women empowerment, right?
Yes. And
Um
also, we're more open, ma'am. And
yes, we're
it is
more
very
open.
offensive if a lot of people um, talk or
Yes.
share an idea that women cannot lead, and it
Yes.
is so offensive.
Yes. And very good. Thank you, Anthony. Ah. And um now women can speak up and stand, right? And um it's just um happy to see that this prejudice is gradually, not at all, but gradually being, um diminished. Do you agree with that? I mean, did I use correct term? Diminish. Okay. So, example of sexism prejudice. Women with children are less devoted to their jobs. Do you agree with this example? Do you agree with this? That women with children are less devoted to their jobs? Not at all. Because
Yes,
women magagaling, right? Women can multitask.
yes,
And yes, so this is an example of sexism prejudice. They think women aren't focused, aren't capable. They're being stereotyped, but the thing is, there is no superior gender to another. Okay, what men can do, women can do also. Okay. Question with sexism.
none for
None,
today.
ma'am.
Okay, very good. Next, sexual prejudice. This is this sexual prejudice is broader than sexism. Sexual prejudice is all the negative attitudes based on sexual orientation, whether the target is homosexual, bisexual, or heterosexual. In short, the LGBT community, right? Okay, so example. Who would like to read the example? That we get from the text, right? Was that? Yes, Viv.
Chloe admits to her class that her sexual orientation is pansexual,
Okay.
which means her sexuality is not limited to sexual choice concerning biological sex, gender, or gender identity, and because of that, her female classmates do not want to mingle with her.
Okay. This sexual prejudice is very timely and is very um prominent, right? But as well as sexism prejudice, it is happy to see that this prejudice is time by time this is being diminished, because us people us people become more open-minded with this. And um though these people who are a member of this group is standing and speaking up, right? Okay, so do you have an example with sexual prejudice, or shall we move on? Do you get it already clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Clear,
let's move
ma'am.
on. Shall we move on? Okay. Next is ageism. This refers to the stereotype against an individual or a group of people because of his age. In the text, have you noticed there the ageism?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, who's that?
Ma'am,
Yes,
Anthony, ma'am.
Anthony. Okay,
Yes,
can you
AJ
cite?
also observed in the text that we have read. It is
Okay,
happened when Chloe's father is 40 years old, but because of his age, many companies declined him because of Chloe's father's
okay,
age. And also, it is very commonly nowadays, ma'am, because a lot of companies out
yeah,
there, one of their requirements is
is the
age.
age. Okay,
Yes, if
um,
you are okay, okay. If you are in the 40s, uh, it is not possible to get a
yes,
job
they
in a
believe
big
that
company.
you are lesser capable,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
That's why people in the mid 40s are jobless right now,
yes,
ma'am.
yeah. Thank you, Anthony. And that is, yes, that is rampant in the society. And the retiring age. What's the retiring age?
It's,
Okay.
something like that.
So they have said that also in applying to companies, they um they want to hire um those 18 to 30 years old, right? And those with 40 and above aren't it is not common for them to it is not easy for them to apply, right? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you. Next. Okay. Next and the last is religious prejudice. Religious prejudice or discrimination, sorry, is treating a person or a group differently because of the particular beliefs in the religion which they hold. Oh, in the text that we have read a while ago, Chloe's classmates aren't familiar that Muslims are not allowed to eat pork because they believe in their religion. When her classmate offered her food with pork, she kindly refused it, but her classmate found it weird and mocked her because of her religion and beliefs. Okay, we easily judge those people, but the thing is, they do it because of their religion, right? Can you cite another example of this religious prejudice? Any clarification?
Ma'am,
Okay, Badet.
I have an example po.
Yes, Badet.
I don't want to be rude to Pat, but let
Okay.
me, ano po, she's INC po kasi.
Okay, okay, Pat.
She's, and Pat don't eat pig blood.
Yeah. The
Yes po.
tinumis, yeah.
Yes po. Uh, they have a certain belief that it's it's a sin to eat
Yeah.
blood, and Catholic Christian people don't believe that. Uh, I don't discriminate her.
Oh, yeah.
I just
You just see that
see that
situation.
difference. Yes
Yeah,
po.
yes.
Yes
And
po.
if that is the belief of someone or a group, we just have to respect it, right? For example, this Chloe is a Muslim. In her religion, it isn't allowed to eat that. And why do people tend to judge her because of that? All we have to do is to the word respect, right? Because if we
yes, ma'am.
yes, if we respect all the different beliefs, and if we keep in mind that um we are all diverse and all, um respect should always be there, right? um if there is respect, there is no prejudice, all in all, right?
Yes,
Would you agree
ma'am.
with that?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So the only thing here is you have to respect that we are different from each other, and um we are unique in our own way, and we don't have to judge them negatively, right? We just have to respect. Okay? Okay, this is the end of our. So let us. Okay, before we proceed to our activity, do you guys have any clarification with regards to the type of bias and prejudice?
None, ma'am.
Okay, very
None,
good.
ma'am.
Sure?
None, ma'am.
Are you sure, guys? Okay. If none, let us move on to our first activity, which is the Venn diagram. But this time, I won't ask you to really create a Venn diagram as is. All I want you to do is to um when I say bias first, type in the comment box your definition of bias. And when I say next prejudice, and then you type in again the comment. And when I say similarities, you type in the comment box your answer. And I'm going to read all of those later. Okay? You get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. So
Yes,
Venn
ma'am.
diagram. So now for bias, type in your um based on our lesson, what is your oh, my presentation is. Can you see my presentation?
No, ma'am.
We don't.
No,
Oh,
ma'am. It's
why?
just a black screen.
Now,
Oh,
can you
Yes,
see
ma'am.
it?
Yes,
there,
It's
Okay.
ma'am.
ma'am.
visible now.
Okay, okay, good. Okay. Yan. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, go. I will give you a minute to type all the related words, keywords when it comes to bias. Okay? Just type in your comments and I will read them. Bias. Okay? Okay? I have your answers from your classmates. Okay. According to Viv, bias, when we say bias, one sidedness, being unfair. According to Mark, according to Pat, in favor with or against. Very, okay, very good. Any other? Okay, all these answers are correct. So it seems like you got something from our lesson. So when we say bias, this is again this comes in two ways, not only being in favor of, it can also be against, okay? But all in any way of these two, bias is always negative or being unfair, okay? Very good, guys. Viv, Mark, and Pat. How about prejudice? Type in your answers. Prejudice. Prejudice. Are you typing, guys, your comment? Okay, according to Badet, prejudice is a preconceived judgment or opinion. Unjustified opinion, yes. Okay, very good. Any more? Great, guys. Very good. Okay. And according to Anthony, it is an instance of such judgment or opinion. Okay. Preconceived judgment. Okay. Any other? All these answers are correct. Very good, guys. So, any other? Let's now move on to their similarities. Similarities. Are you typing, guys, your comment? Mhm. Okay, very good. James, okay. Same with Pat. Good, guys. Okay, so let us generalize your answer. In bias, it is being one sided, being unfair, being in favor with or against with. And we say prejudice, preconceived judgment or opinion, unjustified opinion, an instance of such judgment or opinion. And when we say similarities, their similarity is that they both have negative effects on the society, right? Okay,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Okay, very good. Great, guys. Seems like Okay, so next activity. You're just going to tell me if the picture I'm going to show you is under bias or under prejudice. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. I am going to ask you what type of bias or prejudice that picture belongs to. Okay? Okay, number one, say no to racism. What do you think is yes? Who's that? Mark. And the next item is to be answered by Anthony. Okay, Mark, what is your answer?
Ma'am, I think the answer is racial prejudice.
Racial prejudice. Okay, let's see. Racial prejudice. Very good. Oh, wait. There is another answer by Anthony in our Venn diagram activity. Both can be unjustified at times. Both can be unjustified. At times, it could be seen based on personal preference than the actual data or information given. Very good. Thank you, Anthony, for that. It's correct. Okay, let's go back. Next, Anthony, this picture. What do you think is the bias or prejudice being shown here?
Based on the picture, ma'am, I think it is beauty bias, ma'am.
Beauty bias. Why do you think so?
Based on the picture, I think the guy was more in favor on the girl who has a beauty
Yes,
instead of
the
the girl.
sexy one again. This is the meaning of beauty that the society has set, right? Being
Ma'am.
tall, having pointed nose, being sexy, right? Okay, so this is beauty bias. Very good. Next, who would like to answer? Last one. Mm-hmm. Yes, Viv. Sorry, excuse me.
Ma'am, I think it is religious prejudice.
Religious prejudice. As we can see in the picture, again, same with the case of Chloe being a Muslim. And yeah, they think that if you have different, you are being in our society, being different has negative connotation, right? But it doesn't. Things shouldn't be like that. So let's see, religious prejudice. Very good. Questions? Additional insights? Do you have?
None, ma'am.
None,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, none. Says the chicken. Okay. So, activity, another activity, last activity. And here, I will give you enough time. Is 3 minutes enough, guys? Okay, so I will reveal.
Yes, ma'am.
These hashtags became trending for different issues on Twitter to educate and spread awareness about some biases and prejudices that were still rampant in our society. Okay, so what you have to do is to identify what bias or prejudice is the message of the hashtag and then write your own stand and take for this issue. Again, I will ask you to chat on our Google chat box your answer to this. Okay, I will give you a minute. Number one, Asian Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter. Both of these hashtags became trending after the assault that happens against Asians and Black. Okay, first tell me what kind of bias or prejudice is this, and then tell me your thoughts or insights about this. Do you get it? Do you guys get it? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
Yes,
typing
ma'am.
in. Okay, input your answers. I will read them. As if you are tweeting, guys, ha. Use the hashtags. Let's pretend that we're on Twitter. Asian Okay, I have here answer from Badette. Okay, number one, these hashtags are under racial prejudice. Correct. There is no superior race or culture. Every nationality is capable, and every culture is capable on its own way. Okay, very good. Every nationality matters. Embracing cultural diversity can make our lives better in many ways. Okay, I think. Okay, very good. But that Any other? Hashtag Asian Lives Matter. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Very good. Again, we have to set in mind that there is no superior or inferior nationality or race. Okay? Both of us are equal. Okay, any other? Okay. If not, let us move on. Very good, Badet. Thank you for that. Ay, sorry. Okay. Next. Second to the last. Happy International Women's Month. Hashtag Happy International Women's Month. Hashtag Women Make Change. Okay, these hashtags were both for the celebration of Women's Month. Sorry. Okay, you're typing in your comments. Okay, just type in your answers on the chat box. We're about to end. Okay. Oh, very long answer. Six. Okay, very good. This the type of prejudice that is um that this hashtag is about is sexism. The worst thing that we can do as women is not to stand up for each other. And this again. Anthony, can you read your answer?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
My answer ma'am is sexism because
Okay,
the
very
worst
good.
thing that we can do as you, for example, you as a woman, is not stand up for each other. And this is something that women can practice every day, no
Okay.
matter how they are or what they do. Women sticking up for other women, choosing to protect and celebrate each other instead of competing or
Very
criticizing
good.
one another.
Okay, thank you for that, Anthony. Hashtag women empowerment.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another. That's a very great answer, Anthony. Thank you for that. Next, Genevieve.
Hello po, ma'am.
Hello.
My answer is sexism.
Okay, same with
Feminism
Anthony.
Feminism isn't about making women stronger. Women are already strong. It's about
Okay,
changing the way the world perceives that strength.
very
Hashtag
good.
Happy
I like the
International
spirit of your
Women's Month.
tweet. Very good.
Hashtag
Hashtag Happy International Women's Month. Hashtag Women Make Change. Hashtag women empowerment. Very good. Great, Viv. Thank you for your answer. And then lastly, we have here Mark James.
My answer is
Okay.
sexism.
Same with the
Women
first two.
women belong in all places where decisions are made. It shouldn't be that women are the exception. Hashtag Happy International Women's Month. Hashtag Women Make Change.
Very good. I like the spirit of your tweets, guys. Women empowerment. Very good. Okay. And our last one is hashtag Sulong Backlash, hashtag Share with Pride. These hashtags were for the celebration of the Pride Month and for the LGBTQIA plus community. Again, input your answers in our chat box. Mhm. Any answer? There's no answer yet. Okay, I will wait for your response. Okay, there's no response yet. I'll wait for that before we end this. Okay, there's an answer from Genevieve. Okay, Okay, the prejudice is sexual prejudice. Yes. Being gay does not diminish the worth of a person as long as the person is happy and does not hurt anyone. Hashtag sulong backlash. Hashtag share with pride. Very good. Nice answer, Viv. Thank you for that. Any other before we end this? Wait, I will wait for ano, for some time. And if there are no responses already, let us end this. Okay? Anyway, guys, do you have any clarification? Is our lesson for today clear to you?
Very clear, ma'am.
Oh, very
Very
good.
clear,
Thank you for
ma'am.
that. I
Yes,
feel so
ma'am.
delighted. Very good. Thank you. Okay. 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 No responses. Okay. I think with your answers, as I have asked you about if you have any clarification or questions, you answered there are none. Okay. So I think okay. Before we end, I would like to leave you with this quotation from Kate Nasser that learning is an antidote to fear, bias, and prejudice. Okay. Always remember that being educated is very essential for us to because in the first place the purpose of our lesson for today, which is differentiating bias and prejudice, is for you to learn about it and to encourage you guys to diminish or to this on how to distinguish awareness of group differences and to help you in understanding and appreciating multiple perspectives and differences that you guys can also apply in your everyday lives. Okay, so what I mean with that is that it doesn't end in here in our classroom. Okay, I want you guys to um to apply what we have learned today in our everyday life. Okay, now that you know the different types of bias and prejudices and that they exist in the society, I would like you to not be one of those judgmental people. I want you um to stand up, to speak up for them. Okay, and okay, and do not add any more to the toxic mindset of others. Okay, do you get my point, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you po.
Okay, very good. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you po.
okay, thank you. If there are no um questions, clarifications, that is all for today. Thank you guys for attending our class, and I hope you learned a lot. You learned something from this, and see you in our next class. Goodbye. Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Bye,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you po.
Okay. Okay. Wait. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye.